Well, hello class. I hope all is well. Here we are already, probably into the fifth week of our course. Wow, time just flies when we're having fun. I want to applaud all of you that worked on that desert survival. I wish I could have interjected more, but it is desert survival. But you guys did a great job on that. Now we're going to be moving into motivation and how important is motivation. It's everything that has to do with leadership, as we know. And in this particular section, we're going to be looking at a lot of the theorists. We're going to be looking at the theories of human motivation. You're going to be reading about the Hawthorne studies, which were essentially between 1927 and 1932, and they were conducted by Elton Mayo and the Western Electric Hawthorne Works Company in Illinois. And he did a lot of experiments with lighting. And I think that it says a lot about the human factor, how people are motivated just by um, changes in the environment. We're going to be looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Obviously, the employer has needs, which is to accomplish their organizational mission, vision, and pretty much their strategic plan. When we look at Abraham Maslow, we're looking at what the employee needs in order to be successful. And there are higher order and lower order needs, and obviously the goal is to get to the higher order needs. Maslow, back in 1943, developed the theory on human motivation, where essentially he said that everyone has physiological needs, such as food, clothing, and shelter. Um, they have safety needs, and they also have needs to be for affiliation, need to belong. But there are higher order needs, such as fulfilling our passions for what we really enjoy doing. And that has to do with ego and self actualization. Um, then also, we want to look at Hertzberg's two factor theory. And back in the late 50s, early 60s, um, Frederick Hertzberg, decided that he was going to publish this um, literary work called The Motivation to Work. And that described his studies to look at two things, satisfaction and dissatisfaction. And then he looked at things, in other words, what we're looking at is in the environment. Um, for example, when we talk about satisfaction, we don't talk about not no satisfaction. We talk about being dissatisfied. So he looked at the motivation hygiene theory, and basically, what were some of the things? His interests were what were some of the things that satisfied the employees who were motivated. While that was the motivational factors in the theory, and the dissatisfaction or the dissatisfiers were looked at as the hygiene factors. Okay, so satisfied, dissatisfied, or motivated. Um, Basically, he came up with, and it was an important study because he came up with what they refer to as the six motivational factors. And this is something you want to zoom in on. That is achievement, recognition. What about the work itself that we're doing? What is the responsibility to that work? What is the advancement? What is the growth? Um, and then the top hygiene factors, things that people don't like to do, um, supervision, company policies, politically, what is the relationship with your manager? Are the working conditions conducive to what you're doing? Are you dissatisfied with your salary? What about you if you're working with people you don't really want to work with, but you have to? So the research, it was really clear, And then we're going to be talking about McGregor's Theory X and Theory Y. And that's a pretty popular thing. Douglas McGregor came out with a book in 1960 that talked about Theory X and Theory Y managers. Um, well, these are managers that motivated people. For example, if you're a Theory X manager, you would say, you know, people are basically lazy. They're not really motivated, so you need to motivate them, and they're not going to do anything more unless you tell them to do it. With Theory Y, individuals, managers would look at them as a factor of production. Um, they would do things on their own, and they're self motivated. They would do things because they wanted to do them. So these are some of the things that we're going to be looking at here. Um, we're going to be looking at different types of generations, traditionalists, baby boomers, Generation X, millennials. Um, so there's a lot of takeaways here with this particular chapter. Um, and of course, we're going to look at some of these strategies to increase motivation here. So that is going to be in probably the second section of chapter 7. Uh, so anyway, there's some good case studies in motivation as well. So that's pretty much the introduction to everything. And I'll be checking in with you periodically, working on your assignments, giving you feedback. And again, many thanks for doing such a good job on the Desert Survival Test. Have a good week. Let this record.